Howdy, ladies and gentlemen, please line up in the back next to the bathroom. This is episode 34. We do not have running water. This is the Paddy and The Yank podcast. Please make sure to ferment your water before ingestion. Paddy, how you doing?
Sitting in the morning sun, I'll be sitting when the evening comes, watching the ships roll in. Then I watch them roll away again. That's how I'm feeling, Yank. That's exactly how I'm feeling.
Well,
I'm feeling good.
I'm glad you got a feeling.
That's
That's more than the dead can say.
Hey.
Why is the rainbow behind you off?
It's a good question, but the rainbow behind me is going back on.
Maybe the rainbow died.
It's electric, isn't it?
The rainbow is a light, but the light does need to be charged.
I plugged it in.
You plugged it in.
But I didn't turn it on. All right.
So you clearly did a shitty fucking job.
I plugged it in, but didn't turn it on. All right, let's get into it.
All right, cool.
I'm feeling good.
Awesome. It makes me wonder if you're lying.
I don't lie.
You really just feel good all day, every day, always. You never feel bad. Nobody believes that shit. Tell us the truth.
Yes, I am feeling fine all of the day. I do not feel. Why do you cry? I am. Of course, I feel bad sometimes, but my day is not consumed with that. My day is never consumed with that. My mind is never consumed with that. If something pisses me off or I'm feeling bad about it, I don't hold on to it for very long.
True. You let go of China pretty quick this morning.
There you go.
Lying.
Whatever.
Beat a dead horse. Chewed on a year-old piece of meat for like an hour and a half.
I don't even know what we're talking about. I wake up in the morning, most mornings, and I feel good. And I try to keep that feeling throughout the day.
Me too, I would say most of the time.
And it's not necessarily a conscious thought. That's just who I am.
I've been reading this book about George Orwell. Pretty wild. Have you read his books?
Yes, he's only one of my favorite writers of all time. 1984 is one of my favorite books ever.
So you know who he is.
Oh, I know who he is.
Nice. Which one of it? He wrote 3 books. Have you read all 3 of them?
He wrote more than 3 books.
Yeah, he's done like essays. He did 3 Myanmar/Burma related books. And
yeah, I know he fought in one of the Spanish Wars and he got injured in the neck, I think by shrapnel or a gunshot. I also know that he wrote a book, I think, called Down and Out in Paris.
No, I don't know about
or something like that. And he actually went and became homeless, I think, for a couple of years and lived with the homeless people and wrote about it.
That's awesome.
Bit like Hunter S. Thompson with the Hells Angels. In a way.
In a way. He did it in Spain?
I think he done it in Paris.
He was homeless in Paris.
Yeah, and possibly done another one in London. I could be wrong, I'm not sure. But again, Orwell was around in the 1930s, 1940s.
Yeah.
I think he wrote 1984 in 1944 or something like that. And 1984 was set in the future, which would have been 40 years from when he wrote the book. And stuff that's in that book is like coming out today, technology-wise. Like, came out years ago, technology-wise. Cameras, like TV screens, all this mad stuff that he would write about in that book. And we have in our world today, so yeah. Animal Farm, that's another George Orwell book. That's a great one too. So I've only read those 2. I read Animal Farm and 1984.
Yeah, I am pretty sure he actually got all those ideas because he was stationed in Myanmar for quite some time. As I'm sure you're probably aware of, the Brits took over Myanmar. Where
didn't the Brits take over?
I know. It took them 3 tries to nail it, though.
To capture. Okay, for anybody that's listening that might not know where Myanmar is, can you tell us where Myanmar is? Didn't they change the name of that place? It used to be Burma or something, didn't it?
Right. It used to be Burma. They changed it to Myanmar. They've had a rough history. Just constant war-torn country. People are constantly fighting over it, as developed countries tend to do over countries that are very resourceful, right? And the countries in Southeast Asia generally have a lot of things that people want. And so the French, the British, the Spanish have just been like, taking extreme advantage of all these countries for many, many, many years.
Like they want their natural resources, like their natural gases, their oils, even their rainforests, right? They want like their sap, which you make rubber out of. So rubber was a huge trade for all these kind of things too.
Yeah.
I guess that's what we do as humans, huh? They have that. We want that. We're going to go over and take that.
Oh, here we go. I'm sorry. I was trying to find the specific countries. It's in between China, India, Bangladesh, Thailand, and Laos. Thank God. I'm glad I found that. I wanted to get that right. So because of that, it has a really strong cultural diversity.
That's a lot of borders.
Right? Bangladesh. It's very like that was like a country that's a country in and of itself that has a whole interesting history. But they broke apart from India, so they have very strong Indian heritage, right? And that heritage rubbed off in Myanmar.
There's quite a few Bangladeshi in Ireland, in
Really?
Galway City, yeah. I used to know quite a few Bangladeshi fellas.
Holy shit.
Johnny that listens to this podcast, he used to be very good friends with a lot of Bangladeshi.
He's not
guys.
a Bangladeshi. They're called a Bangladeshi?
I believe so, yeah.
Never heard that. Interesting.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
I could tell you a funny story, but I won't.
Dude, Myanmar actually has 135 ethnic minorities. Recognized groups, it says here, but I know they have quite a few ethnic groups. It's the northwesternmost country of mainland Southeast Asia, located on the Indo-Chinese Peninsula. It's the second largest country in Southeast Asia.
The second largest country in Southeast Asia?
Correct.
Oh, it's a big country.
Do you know what countries, like what is Southeast Asia comprised of?
Like Cambodia, Vietnam. Would Taiwan be Southeast Asia?
I think Taiwan is more South Asia.
Okay. Then Thailand, Laos. Oh, a lot of those countries you mentioned earlier.
I always assumed
Malaysia?
It was Thailand, Laos, Cambodia, Vietnam, and Myanmar. And I thought it was very specifically those 5 countries.
You could be right, yeah. That sounds right.
I don't know if it's exactly as cut dry as that.
Okay, so let's find out. The term Southeast Asia, what countries does that encapsulate? How many countries are in Southeast Asia?
So we can call it Southeast Asia. Duh! Okay, anyway. Or SEA. Interesting. So it is the regions south of China, east of the Indian subcontinent, and north of Australia. That's relatively specific. It's bordered to the north by East Asia, to the west by South Asia, and the Bay of Bengal, and to the east by Oceania.
So what are the countries in Southeast Asia?
It sounds like we have 11 specific countries.
I'm going to take a gamble and say Taiwan is one of those.
I'm going to take a gamble and say you're right. Okay, yeah.
And Malaysia.
There are 11. I just saw this on a few different pages, too.
Okay.
Go ahead.
You want me to try and name them?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to say that Thailand is 1, Cambodia is 1, Vietnam is 1, Laos is 1, Taiwan is 1.
No.
Oh! Taiwan's not in Southeast Asia.
No.
Okay, I guess that's South Asia, so like you said. Malaysia?
Yes.
Indonesia?
No. Yes, I'm sorry.
Singapore? Singapore's in Malaysia.
Yes.
Yeah. I've got quite
A couple of these I've never even heard of.
It's like 8. I've got 8.
You probably don't know the ones I've never heard of.
So there's 3 I don't know.
You got Cambodia, right?
I got Cambodia.
Indonesia.
Vietnam. Yeah, hang on. I'll tell you the ones I said. I said Cambodia, Vietnam, Thailand, Laos, Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore.
There's one more I think you should be able to get. Very close to Taiwan.
Hong Kong?
No.
Not the Philippines.
Yes.
The Philippines is
Which doesn't make
Asia.
sense. If Philippines is Southeast Asia, why wouldn't Taiwan be Southeast Asia? For our knowers out there, Philippines is like a hop, scump, and a jump away. It's very close.
Go for it. Name them out.
There's another country called Brunei. Brunei. Brunei.
Never heard of it.
Me neither. And then another one called Timor-Leste. Timor-Leste. Those 2 countries I've never heard of. You guessed all the other ones correctly, except for the Philippines.
I wonder, are these islands? Would these possibly be small islands? Like small country islands?
Small country islands.
Maybe not. Maybe they're connected somewhere there, but I just can't picture them. When I think about the map, I think about these places we're talking about. I don't picture these being, unless they're like around Malaysia, Indonesia somewhere.
Brunei is on the coast of Borneo.
Okay.
Has a South China.
So it's like an island, kind of.
Yeah, it's like in Malaysia kind of, or around Malaysia. It's the only sovereign state entirely on Borneo, and the remainder of the island is divided into Malaysia and Indonesia. Wow, so it's one island that consists of 3 different countries.
It's
That's
like
pretty
that's
wild.
same as Britain.
Yeah.
You got England, Wales, and Scotland. One island, 3 countries.
Let's see what this Timor-Leste is. Oh, it's Portuguese. Timor by Arturo and Jaco. Surrounded by the... Jeez, I don't know any of this shit, dude. Oh, it's kind of close to Australia.
Yeah.
The Timor Sea. Have you ever heard of the Timor Sea?
No.
Timor? Timor?
No.
Timor? Well, fuck. We don't know. So
I ain't
forget
never heard
about
of
it.
I forget about it. I never heard about it.
Well, I've been reading. So George Orwell spent a lot of time in Myanmar because the Brits took them 3 attempts to take it over. The first time, I forget what the name of the war was. So the Brits, like, they could not get Myanmar as easily as they wanted. So it took them, it's kind of like baseball. It took them three shots to finally gain full control of Myanmar. The first one was in 1826, and the name of these wars were the Anglo-Burmese War. So in 1826 was the first Anglo-Burmese War. In 1852 was the second Anglo-Burmese War. And then in 1885 was the third Anglo-Burmese War, where finally the Brits took over.
Huh.
Yep, and they pacified, in 1886, they pacified Burma.
Damn.
And then Burma was proclaimed a British colony.
And was George Orwell part of the British Armed Forces? He was a soldier.
He sure was. He stayed there for quite some time, and that was where he started getting his ideas for 1984. I think Russia inspired a lot of his ideas for Animal Farm, but people in Burma actually thought Animal Farm was about them. And when they read it, they thought about how it applied to Myanmar.
Huh.
And 1984 was because they were doing crazy shit even back then, right? And it did just get crazier. And unfortunately, like, I think it happened recently, but the Brits had Myanmar for a long time, up until, I believe, 1937, which was a very important year for a lot of countries. That was like the rape of Nanjing in China.
Okay.
When the Japanese invaded China.
Yeah.
And, like, we're going to, like, monasteries or something and doing terrible things. And at that same time, there was a group of Burmese people that decided they wanted to start inviting the Japanese in, because the Japanese said, if you let us in, we'll help you gain independence from the Brits. Yeah.
And then you've got us as your fucking rulers.
It's
like, you know, which one do you take? It's fucking...
Yeah, in 1937, Burma was separated from British India and became a separate colony. In 1941, the Burma Independence Army. They have the craziest names for all their organizations and armies. It's no wonder where George Orwell got all these ideas for 1984. Like, everything in 1984 has, like, the people... I don't know. I can't really remember, but, like, really,
the Ministry of
Defense of. Like, he got that shit from this country, man. They're so crazy.
The prolies is what I used to call
the thought police.
Yeah,
too,
the
right?
thought police. Yeah.
So the BIA, the Burma Independence Army, was the one formed to help the Japanese. And then in 1942, the Japanese took over Burma.
Of course they did.
So in 1945, the British took it back, right? The Japs lost the war. The Japanese lost the war.
Yeah.
So the Brits took it right back in 1945. I mean...
It's like tug of war. They're playing tug of war with the country and lives.
That's going to fuck the country, but also the psyches of the people, right? Like, I grew up with a lot of confidence in my country. I never liked my country. I never really trusted my country. But I grew up with confidence because of the stability of my country and the way my country's perceived.
Yeah.
Or at least the way we perceive our country by the news that we watch. Our news shows us that we are a powerful country.
You know what? I think most countries' news shows them that and tells them that. Look at... and none other than fucking North Korea's news. Holy hell. The shit that they tell their people.
What do you know about Aung San Suu Kyi?
Oh, Aung San Suu Kyi.
Yeah.
Ah, nothing.
Really? You never heard the name?
Aung San Suu Kyi. No. I might be familiar with the story, but I don't recognize the name. No.
She's a woman that was on house arrest for like 15
I know her.
years.
I know her. Yeah.
What can you tell me about her?
Nothing other than that she was locked inside her fucking house.
Nice. She was like the first. Wasn't
there something about her recently? She got released or something, or?
Oh, that's actually like old news now.
Okay.
And like the new news is that she's not good anymore.
So she's the lady that was put under house arrest. Where was this?
Well, her father was like the first person to fight for democracy in Myanmar, and then he was murdered, assassinated in the early 1900s. You know, because obviously during like 1925 to 1950, they're finally starting to like realize something is wrong. Basically, the Brits are wrong, and we want to get away from the Brits. If only they could have got a sneak peek of their future, of what was coming, they would have been way better off staying under the control of the Brits, man. Had they had any inkling of an idea that the military was going to become a totalitarian dictator and take over the country and starve the people to death, and then one day try to start murdering them and burning them in the streets. If only they had known that, the British would have been a way better way to go.
If only.
Yeah.
Hindsight, huh?
Hindsight's 21.
Hindsight
22.
does fuck all, doesn't it?
Her dad's name was Aung San, and yeah, he was assassinated in 1947, shortly after World War II, and shortly after the Burman leaders gained independence from the British again. So the British took it back in 1945, and then in 1947, Burma got their independence back again. And I think this was around the time they tried to start establishing their own government. 1948, they gained independence from the UK, and then the Burmese army takes control.
So they had the Brits first who came in and took over and occupied. Then the Japanese came over, and they pushed the Brits out, and they occupied. And then the Brits took it back, and then in the end, Burma got its independence.
Yes.
But this would turn out to be not such a good thing.
Very, very, very bad. If you think about all that instability, right? If you have constant instability, you cannot grow, develop, and or mature. And I say that both in referring to people and countries, right? You need stability to grow and to develop. Yeah, her father was trying to fight for, in 1962, this bad guy named Nu Win takes over in 1962, and he starts this new thing called the Burmese Way to Socialism, essentially, and forms a single-party state where he is the sole political party, and he bans independent newspapers. This guy, Nu Win, N-E-W-I-N. Seems like he was a pretty evil fucker. I saw him in a lot of documentaries.
Dictator, huh?
Yeah, and then they just start, anybody that protests that, they shoot him. Shoot him down the street, chase him down the street. And he starts writing his own constitution, right? So that he cannot lose his power.
That's crazy.
It was funny. At one point, I think it was him or maybe it was the military, but they wrote a rule saying if you had children in another country, you cannot become the leader of this country. And they wrote that law specifically to apply to Aung San Suu Kyi, who was a woman that married a British man and had her children abroad. And then she wanted to run to become the first pro-democracy leader of Myanmar.
Yeah.
So they passed that so that she could run, and then she passes another law so that she could run with a separate title, like counselor or chancellor or something like that. It's pretty crazy. It was like, oh, every time we have a problem, we just write another law. Oh, you wrote that law? Now I'm going to write this law.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's a little bit too much.
Who enforces these laws?
Apparently nobody. So in 1991. She got the Nobel Peace Prize. Okay, let me rewind this just a tiny smidgen.
Yep.
1988. That was really what led to this whole thing. So in 1988, they call it 8888, referring to August 8th, 1988, where everybody decided there was a nationwide uprising that wanted to bring down this dude Nu Win.
Yep.
They wanted to bring down his government, but the military crushed the protest and formed a ruling junta. Do you know what a ruling junta is? Junta.
No.
Like a military coup, kind of.
Okay. So the military basically took power.
Yeah, and I guess that's called
took control.
State Peace and Development Council. The State Peace and Development Council, the military government of Burma. So I guess that's the junta. The junta. But they took total control. So they tried. That's cool, man. They were fighting. They were trying to fight for their independence. But gosh, that's crazy. Can you imagine if in the 60s the U.S. government just started shooting everybody?
Well, that happened in Northern Ireland in the fucking 60s and 70s with the British Army.
Really?
Yeah.
What were the Irish doing that caused them to do that?
Being Irish.
There
you fucking go.
That can be pretty
Being
annoying.
Irish. Yeah, do you know that there was plain-clothes British soldiers sent to Ireland, and their mission was to go around doing drive-bys and shooting innocent people. Their mission, they were sent from England to go to Ireland to shoot random innocent people on the streets in Northern Ireland to keep things going and incite certain things like this side done that, this side done that, to keep this war going.
It's a good idea.
I mean,
it's a good political movement
yeah.
if we're talking playing chess.
It's evil. Like, you know what I mean? The shit the British done, it was insane.
So Aung San Suu Kyi sat on house arrest for, gosh, she won the Nobel Peace Prize in 91.
Okay, here's a question I've got to ask.
Yeah.
Why was she put on house arrest? How does this all happen? She's running for office. The other guy's putting out laws. She's putting out laws. What happens then? He becomes president. She gets taken away and arrested. What happens?
Why did she get put on house arrest? She was speaking out against the military.
Okay.
And I think she wanted to have a democratic vote. And she wouldn't shut up. And this is very much like 1984, that the military banned any sort of independent thinking. They banned anything that spoke against the government. No independent newspapers, no Western TV shows, no Western movies, no anything that challenges us. And she, like other great leaders from our past, perhaps Gandhi or Martin Luther King Jr. or whatever, like she was like, no, I will not shut up. I will not stand down. Yes.
That's very interesting because I've read quite a few different books based in different countries, and the one I read about North Korea, about the girl that escaped, the same thing they imposed over there was that the people weren't allowed to watch Western movies and they weren't allowed to listen to Western music. They weren't allowed to be influenced by anything that promoted self-thinking. The same with these two books I've been reading about Afghanistan lately. The very same thing. When the Taliban took over Afghanistan, I think it was, I don't know if it was the 80s or whatever it was, 70s, 80s, that's when they banned all American movies, everything like that. Anything that was Western, like that could influence the people, they banned them from watching. So I guess it's like you said, the same thing.
Yeah. Well, when we have ideas like heroes. What do heroes do? Heroes fight for justice. They're not afraid of the bad guy. They're fearless. They're courageous. They're brave. They stand up for what's wrong. To us, they're just movies, but to people in a country like North Korea or Myanmar or China, Afghanistan, maybe some places in Africa, those are like revolutionary ideals because they've never really been exposed to these ideas. North Korea still has not. Myanmar was getting better, but then I think they sort of recently crumbled again.
I heard there was trouble there recently in Myanmar.
Well, it was weird. Aung San Suu Kyi was on house arrest. She got the Nobel Peace Prize. She got released, and Obama was there. When Obama was president, that was when she got released from house arrest.
Okay.
I think he flew over there and was the catalyst in that situation. I think Hillary Clinton was even in the picture somehow. So she gets released, and then recently she takes office. She gets voted, and she takes office. But then, while she's in office, the military starts cracking down on an ethnic minority called the Rohingya Muslims. Do you know about the Rohingya Muslims?
No.
They're a huge group that reside in one state, the state that runs along Bangladesh. And they're stateless Muslims. But they've been in Myanmar forever.
When you say stateless Muslims, what does this mean?
That means the Burmese government does not recognize them as citizens.
So they basically have no country. They're not from anywhere.
Yeah.
Whoa.
But they actually have grown up and lived in Myanmar the entire time.
But they're not Myanmar citizens.
Right. Because there's actually Buddhist nationals in Myanmar that hate them. This is pretty crazy. They were so the military gosh, I think there might have been an insurgency group or something from them, but the military starts cracking down on these Rohingya Muslims and starts like slaughtering them. And
Like, why? Why? What? Well, I know why. We're just fucking chimps, man. That's why. We're just damn chimps.
there was some back and forth for a little bit of time, but I think the military was already being pretty crude. Like, and I think the small group came out, right, and they were like taking videos of themselves, and they went and attacked a police station and killed some police officers. And so then, like, the military gets involved and starts going to where they think they are, and they'll just go there and like burn the whole village down, and like go to another village, burn the whole village down.
That's
Like
crazy.
killing, raping, doing the whole nine. And so they keep trying to stand up for themselves and come back, and then like all these Buddhist nationals start marching and protesting the presence of these Rohingya Muslims. Like, these Buddhists were in support of the Burmese army attacking this stateless ethnic minority. To me, it's like a total oxymoron. Like, really, Buddhist people are saying yes, attack
that
them.
believe in peace. I thought their whole tribe was peace and love and non-violence and all this other kind of thing. I thought that's what the Buddhist way was.
You would think. It sounds pretty backwards, right?
Told or read.
Mm-hmm.
Well, why didn't any? This is what I thought when that whole thing was going on there in Myanmar pretty recently. Why didn't any, like the UN, like the Americans, why didn't any of these countries step in and try to do something for these people? Is it because there was no incentive for them to do it? Just like liberating people and saving people, it doesn't seem to be an incentive for countries to go to war when people are being oppressed. It's just like, okay, well, it's going to cost us all this money to go there and help these guys. You know what I mean? They don't have any oil. They don't have any gold. You know what I mean? We don't have a strategic location there that we can set up camps ourselves or bases or whatever. So, you know what I mean? I don't think empathy doesn't play a huge role in why countries go and defend other countries. It's not empathy. It's money and it's power and it's strategical position.
Yeah, it is pretty messed up. The UN had been trying to get in for some time, but they would not let the UN in. And every country, like even Myanmar, has a person that's like a representative. I think they're called like a rapporteur or something. And this person kept trying to get in, but like Aung San Suu Kyi was like avoiding her or like not inviting her to come in. And I think it was around 2017, so this is relatively recently. Someone stood up and they're like, this is not just ethnic cleansing, but also crimes against humanity, and this needs international accountability. Like, we cannot stand by anymore. We cannot allow this to happen anymore. The UN must step in. And so this rapporteur person, this representative, Aung San Suu Kyi, finally let her in, but she had to be... Because videos were going viral all over the internet of the Burmese military, like, kicking people to death, cutting them, like doing crazy stuff.
People in the streets.
And so the UN's like, we need to get in there. We need to get in there. We need to see what's going on. And then this lady finally got in, but the military stayed with her the whole time. She wanted to ask people questions, but everybody was like scared to talk to her. Right? Everybody had totally been threatened.
Yeah, of course.
Totally. This is kind of like North Korea, right? People go to North Korea, then they already have like this fake trip.
They see what they want you to see.
Exactly. So you don't even really get to see anything that's real. So 2017, they finally get a person in there, but then she sits with Aung San Suu Kyi. She's like, I need to see more. I need to make sure that this is really going on. I need proof. I need evidence. I need to take this to the United Nations. And Aung San Suu Kyi says, all those videos are fake. None of that's really going on.
Yeah.
I need evidence. She's like, that's not really going on.
Aung San Suu Kyi is the one that was like stood up for democracy back in the day. Her father was killed. She got the Nobel Peace Prize. She was under house arrest for 15 years.
Obama kind of helped get her free.
This is the woman now that's kind of trying to cloak and dagger all this. That's trying to put a cover over this.
Like, the military's doing this. It's as clear as day. The videos are all over the internet, and people are asking her, and she's like, oh, it's not true, or
why
these videos are not real, or not necessarily defending the military, but saying, you know what I mean? Like, I don't really know. I don't know. What do you think?
I have no idea.
You got good theories on this. Like, she was her father was sort of a revolutionary.
She could have been strong-armed, but if she spent 15 years in house arrest, I mean, I don't know if they tortured her or anything, but when she got out, they might have strong-armed her. They might have given her a good deal. I don't know. there's got to be a reason why she changed and said
Well,
all that. If the videos are true, if like that was going on. I mean, I've seen.
Yeah.
From
Well,
what I know.
The thing about Myanmar that makes Myanmar very different from other countries is the government is the military and the military is the government, right?
Yeah.
And if she is the leader, I don't know if it's called president or not, but if she's the leader, like if you're the president in the U.S., who's protecting you? Secret Service, right?
Yeah.
The Secret Service is protecting you, and then you are the chief of...
Police.
You're the fucking chief of the military. Like, you're the one that says, we're going into this place and wreaking havoc, or we're pulling out, and we're not doing it anymore. Like, that is the president's job.
You're the face, is what
right?
you are.
You're the face, right. But you also have, like, high security. Like, nobody can touch you, right? But in Myanmar, the government's the military. The military are the bad guys. She's trying to be the good guy. So the very people that she's relying on for protection are the very people that want to hurt her. So does she really have freedom of speech? And
that's what I'm saying. Maybe she's being strong-armed.
Yeah.
Hard to know. I don't know enough about her, that situation, to really have any kind of theories on it, really.
She lost her Nobel Peace Prize. They took it away.
Did she look everywhere for it before she...
I think.
Did she look under the bed? Did she look in the cupboards?
I heard she was
behind the curtains.
I heard rumors she was riding a bicycle. And she had some psychedelic frogs in the basket. One jumped up and bit her in the fucking eye.
And she had the Peace Prize with her there, and she dropped it along the way somewhere. It rolled down a muddy bank, hit a stone. The stone came loose. That stone and the Nobel Peace Prize fell into the river. It didn't sink because it's very buoyant, because it wasn't actually made out of real gold or whatever it is. And it floated down the river. And then it got stuck on a load of twigs and branches, and then the beaver started making a dam, and then over time, I don't know. That's my theory.
So when I was doing and dabbling in this Rohingya Muslim killing and genocide and that stuff, I was like, man, am I watching the news right now? Am I?
Well, you're reading news.
When you're watching, I've been saying, don't watch the news, don't watch the news, don't watch the news, it's poison. Yep. When you're watching so I'm watching a documentary about Myanmar. I'm watching a documentary about the Rohingya Muslims. And then I'm like, I want to know what's going on today. Mm-hmm. Wait a second. That requires me watching the news. I'm like, I'm kind of confused. I'm like, what's the difference? Where do we draw the line between news and history, and how important is the news?
Well, I guess the source would be a big part of that.
I'm always trying to find, like, is this BBC? Is this Vice News? Is this something from PBS?
Yeah,
you know?
like where it's coming from is the main thing, because like a lot of these news corporations, these things, that they've got an agenda that they're pushing. They've got a narrative that they want to put out there and make you believe. Whereas if it's an independent source, that's like, let's say, some kind of frontline journalist that's just independent, that goes to a country like this, smuggles themselves in, videos some shit, records some shit, and writes about it. That's who you want to be listening to. That's the people you want to get the news from. You know what I mean? Yeah. Rather than these big fucking public corporation TV channels, news stations that are just pumping out a certain narrative that they're told to put out.
Man, I gotta say though, dude, can you imagine being this minority in Myanmar that have resided there for long, mother, grandfather, great grandfather, pretty sure had all lived in the same, it's called the Rakhine state. Okay. Then all of a sudden, the military's like, you guys aren't fucking citizens, get out of here right now, we're gonna fucking murder you.
It's happening in Ukraine now. It happened in Afghanistan. It's happening in Korea. It's happening loads of places like that where, invaders come, or whoever it is like that, and it's like people have to flee their homes.
But in this place, the invaders are the military.
But what invaders aren't military?
But they're invading their own. They're not really invading because it's military from Myanmar, in Myanmar, telling people that they need to leave. You know what I mean?
It's crazy.
Yeah.
All you can have, all you can have is just empathy for these people, can't you? Like, nobody, if these people aren't doing anything wrong to anybody, they're just getting on with their lives, then what the fuck? Like, why can't people just leave people alone?
That's like
why can't people just leave people alone?
That's like if one day the Taiwanese government decides white people are the fucking devil, and the next day I check my mail and there's a big red envelope that says, you are the devil, you have 7 days to leave or you will be hung at a fucking stake.
I'd be like, all right, I'm out of here. But the difference is that we're not from here, we're not. We've got homes.
That was their argument with these like Bangladeshi Muslims. They're like, this is a Buddhist country.
Yeah,
you are not Buddhist.
Okay, this is nothing to do. Okay, well, you're talking about religion now. This is talking about beliefs. I'm talking about, okay, we came to Taiwan to live here. We're expats, whatever you want to call us. We have a home in a different country as well that we can always go back to. Like, that's a home. It's safety. It's shelter. Do these people have that? Do they have a home? Well, then there you go. It's a completely different thing. It's like, that's just a terrible situation. You know what I mean? Is there no countries that can take these people in? You know, it's like when Afghanistan, when the Taliban was taking over Afghanistan and enforcing its Sharia law or whatever they call it, Sharia law, like a load of the local Afghans, like they fled to Pakistan, Iran, places like that. You know what I mean? Just anywhere to get away from that. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Like I said already, like, why can't people just leave people alone? But at the same time, I understand why they can't, because we're just fucking amped up, super smart chimps. You know what I mean? But we haven't lost that chimp. You know what I mean? As much as we like to think we haven't. That's why we do all this crazy shit. That's why we do all this crazy shit.
You're talking about me and you?
I'm talking about every human.
Oh.
Every human. And why things like this happen. Why wars happen. We're a warring species. Like, we are a warring species.
The only war...
Humans are not a peaceful species.
The only war you truly need to fight is the war within yourself, my man.
That was lost long ago. that was but a battle.
That's true, though. I mean, that is the biggest war of all. The war of the ego, the war of the self.
Well, ego, as you said, there is a big part in all of these things, like wars and stuff like that. Power and all this kind of stuff. I don't really know. It's just like, yeah.
It's power, gold, glory, and guns, man.
Yeah.
The 3 Gs, gold, glory, and guns. So, you love the book 1984?
One of my favorite books of all time.
Cool. What things from 1984 are now true today?
One thing that's true today are televisions or TV screens. In the book 1984, he used to call the thing a telescreen, and it would be in everybody's house. And on this telescreen, the different ministries or the government could always watch you, and they could always hear you. And you would always have to have a certain look on your face. And the look that you would have to have on your face was something that wasn't thought, like you weren't thinking independent thoughts. So that's true today. Also, that was like the precursor to video cameras, right? Like, not video cameras, CCTV cameras. Like, you're being watched and you're being listened to. That's something that's now around today. I don't really remember. I remember
the two-way televisions, though. Well, Star Trek had that too, right?
Okay, but when did Star Trek come out? He wrote this book in the 40s. He
After
wrote the book probably
the 40s.
Yeah.
I guess, I don't know. We were talking about Star Trek and the future fantasy, and I remember just like in that Star Trek, it was like unrealistic that we would ever have such a thing.
Yeah.
And when he wrote this book, it was also unrealistic.
And he was writing it about, like, he wrote it in 1984. He was writing about 1984, like the future, like it's going to be like this and crazy. And Big Brother. He coined the phrase Big Brother. George Orwell coined that phrase Big Brother.
The purported leader of the party that rules the nation of Oceania.
And Big Brother is always watching you.
Yeah. That was a big thing. And now, I mean, that's like right now, I'm looking at my phone. There's a camera on my phone.
There you go.
I think maybe Big Brother's always listening, without a shadow of a doubt.
You're watching the TV, or is it watching me? I'm watching the TV, or is it watching me?
Yeah.
The one thing that stood out for me in 1984 was he created a language in the book. I think it was called doublespeak.
Or newspeak?
Newspeak. Doublethink was the concept of doublethink, and the concept of doublethink in the book 1984 blew my mind and just imploded my brain. I don't remember. Oh man, I don't even know how to get into it. It was something like, okay, the thought police. It was like they could know, if they could tell by your face or tell by your expressions or anything like that what you were thinking, if you were thinking of anything other than what the ministries wanted you to think. But what you'd have to do is you'd have to actually legitimately forget stuff, but then the doublethink was your ability to also remember it at the same time, to forget it completely, so that if you're being interrogated or whatever, you genuinely do not know, but you genuinely do remember somehow. I can't remember the exact concept, but I remember it blew my mind when I read the book.
Wow.
Doublethink. And the newspeak as well, like the language he created in the book, newspeak. It's like that fucking book is amazing. Everybody out there, check out the book 1984 by George Orwell. And it's a great love story too. I thought there was a great love story in it as well. I'm not much of a, I guess, whatever, but I thought there was a great love story in it as well. That was one thing, the thought police. And they also coined the phrase, he also coined the phrase 101. You know, like Room 101.
Oh,
That's
I
from
remember that very vaguely.
It's
very
from
vaguely.
1984. Yeah, I love that book.
Perpetual War was something that he predicted then about 1984, that we now the party embraced a policy of continual war so as to eat up any economic surplus and keep people poor and under control.
Rage Against the Machine
Huh.
reference 1984 in one of those songs, and it says, "Who controls the present now controls the past. Who controls the past controls the future." I think it's something like that.
That's very Orwellian, man.
They got that. That's actually from the book 1984. What it was in 1984 was his job. The main character in the book 1984, his job was to basically rewrite history, wasn't it? He was like deleting parts of history. Like
delete people as well.
Delete people, yeah. Like this person never existed. They would delete all files on them, all records on them, everything like that. The same thing was with history and the wars. It's like they're like, well, because he starts thinking. Remember, he starts thinking like, but weren't we at war with Eurasia like last year? And everyone's like, no, the enemy is whoever. It's this country over here. And he's starting to think, but no, I'm pretty sure it was. And what they would do is they would erase all history about certain wars and certain things, and then create new narratives about this one. And the people just
They did something in that book too about chocolate ratios too. Like chocolate ratios went down, but they like lied and made it so the chocolate ratios didn't go down. Rations, something like that.
Yeah.
Funny thing is, Myanmar's been doing that for years, and their newspapers. As soon as the newspapers are done, somebody goes through it and looks for anything against the government, and then they draw lines. Like they cross it out so that when you do receive the newspaper, or no, and then that was what they used to do, and then eventually what they started doing was, if there were too many lines on one page, they would just cover the whole page with an ad. And so you could tell how much has been taken out of a magazine by how many ads are in the magazine. The more ads, the more they took out.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so they really...
With the ration thing in 1984, I think it was like they kept, like you said, cutting the rations down. But what they were doing was they were amping the people up to think that they were getting more rations than they'd got before. But in fact, they were giving them less. But because of how well they were controlling these people's minds, that it was like they believed, oh, this week we got this month we got 2 bars of chocolate, but nobody's thinking any different because they can't think independently or think for themselves. There's no, well, last month I thought we only got 2, because you can't think like that. The thought police, all this kind of stuff. So to write that book, it's just, man, it's just amazing for me. It's amazing.
It was a great sneak peek of the future. I think China is the country closest to replicating what was in 1984. The closest, you know.
Facial recognition.
Where you can jaywalk and instantly get ticketed, and then they instantly withdraw the money from your bank account, and all of a sudden you just get a notification in your phone like, boom, you just jaywalked and we're charged this much money.
That's insane. That's Demolition Man stuff.
And then they even have a shame wall in China. Like a digital shame wall that'll show like the people who broke laws that month or that week, and you also have a social score, you know, according to like,
I've heard
WeChat.
of the social score, yeah.
Yeah. And
that's, man, like...
That's a nightmare. That's a nightmare.
For the collective mind... Okay, for a communist government and for the collective mindset that they have in Asia, it's not. For our free-thinking, individualistic mindsets that we have in the West, of course it is. It's insane. But to control 1.5 billion people... What's the population of China? 1.5 billion people or something?
I don't know.
I believe it's around 1.5, probably 1.7 billion people. So to control that many people, I suppose implementing certain things... I mean, I'm not saying that I think it's a good thing or that, but it's...
So if the population is that out of control, you're saying we need to take extreme measures?
No. I said I didn't think it was necessarily a good thing, but it's like,
what are you going to do when your population is that huge? You got to do something.
Yeah. And it's like that, like what they've got going on over there, don't think that that's not going to happen everywhere else in the Western place like that. It is. Facial recognition will be a thing.
It's already a thing.
Then there you go.
It's been a thing for years.
I don't think the shame wall will be something they use. I don't think that doesn't sound very Western.
I mean,
like
the fingerprint, fingerprint to open your phone.
Yep.
Facial recognition to open your phone.
Yeah, I have neither of those, but anyways.
Credit card, you just put it on your phone.
I have no credit card either.
And now it's getting to the point to where...
Do I even exist?
Where your entire phone can just be on your watch, right? I've gone to 7-Eleven with my buddy, and he has everything on his watch. So he just pay for everything on his watch, rent a U-bike with his watch, so it's getting to the point where you don't even need to carry your phone anymore.
Okay, think about how easy it is to make somebody become a nobody when everything is digital. Like if you have cold hard cash, which is what we grew up with, cold hard cash. You've got that cash and that paper that you have in your hand with those coins, that will get you something no matter where you are. Cash is king, right? But when you take that away and you make it all digitized, and everything, even your profile of you is on a computer somewhere like that, and all your funds is in a bank somewhere, very easy to make you become a nobody and shut you down.
What do you mean? I don't know what you mean.
Well, if somebody does something, if a certain person spoke out against something about a government or this and that, or done whatever, it's very easy for them to just go, delete bank account, freeze assets, take this person off the system, or make this person known to everybody. It's just so easy to do stuff like that now. If you take cash away, I think taking cash away is not a good thing. Cash.
I agree. I assume it's just my connection to the old school way of things,
Well, I mean, that's how it's more convenient. That's how they sell it to you all the time. It's more convenient. It's just easier. Or just tap your card, or just do this and just do that. Are you really keeping track of how much you're spending?
Creepy. I think it's just because of the effect of 1984.
You tap your card anywhere.
Yeah.
Boom. There's an automatic record that you were there.
Yeah. I don't
you
like
pay
that
in
either.
cash somewhere, no record that you were ever there. You know what I mean? You want to buy something on the sly in the black market, whatever it is. Cash, boom. Again, no record of this transaction. You tap that card, use that credit card, there's a record of everything. There's a paper trail to every single thing.
I don't like that either, but what does it matter, Paddy? You're not a criminal.
We don't know now what it matters. Because it's only kind of a new thing. We don't know now what it matters, but potentially it could matter something in the future.
It's a stealing of privacy and data and all that stuff.
Well,
I don't know what they did about TikTok, but I know they were trying to shut down TikTok because the U.S. government was like threatening apps. Apple and the other big one said that you have 24 hours to remove TikTok because TikTok's been found to be stealing personal data and it's stealing the personal data directly to China.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, we're on TikTok now, so
maybe
we should TikTok the fuck off there.
TikTok the fuck off.
What?
Yeah, I thought Joe Rogan was talking about it, and then I don't really know. I don't know what it developed into, but I guess if you're a somebody, it's something to consider. If you're a politician, if you're a military leader,
that's very good. It's like
you're
when
a celebrity and you don't want your dick pics being shown.
It's
somewhere.
like the recession when the recession hit Ireland there back a few years ago, and people are like, "Oh my God, the recession! How did you get on?" And it's like, well, we didn't have any money to lose. We didn't have anything anyway, so you know what I mean?
Yeah.
like people I knew was like, we didn't have shit anyways. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we didn't. What you can't lose what you don't have.
Yeah. What do we need to be so concerned about?
Yeah.
Privacy. Shit, I love walking around on my balcony naked.
Hey, as C6 Steve once said, I started out with nothing, and I've still got most of it left. All right. You know what? You want to leave it there?
One more thing related to that. Denzel Washington says you can't pull a U-Haul with a fucking what's it called? What do you drive to the funeral when somebody dies? What's the name of the car? A hearse. You can't pull a U-Haul with a hearse. You can't use a hearse to pull a U-Haul.
Really? Why not?
Meaning you can't take it with you.
Oh, okay.
None of these things fucking matter.
Yeah.
You can't. When it's time to go, you can't take any of those things with you.
No.
You can't pull a U-Haul with a hearse. That's one of his motivational speeches. I love it.
There you go. You can't pull a U-Haul with a hearse.
Yeah. Cool.
All right, we're going to sign off today, and again, hope you liked the episode. Have a bit more empathy. Have a bit more peace. Have a bit more love. Think twice before you judge somebody and before you,
Take 3 breaths when you feel emotional.
Yeah. And
before you react.
While you're taking those 3 breaths, follow Paddy and The Yank on Instagram, on YouTube, subscribe. Again, leave us some feedback, give us some comments, tell us what you like what we're doing, tell us what you don't like. Today we're going to leave you with another song or a composition by none other than Ninja Ned.
Dope.
All right, take it easy, everybody. Peace.